Good evening, everyone. We are a half hour late start. I'm sorry for that. We had a lot of technical issues. Things were not working quite well at all, to say the least. We are in good shape at this point, and I apologize for that. But it is December 22nd, 2016. The upcoming week, we have nothing scheduled, mostly because it's Christmas and New Year's and Hanukkah. We have everything going on at once, all kinds of holidays, so we're not going to be on the air next week. This would be our last broadcast before we come back on the week of January. I think it's the second, but as soon as January starts, we'll be on that week, so you can check our listings to see what we have coming up for that. Again, I apologize for the delay today. There will be no call-ins today. We're going to try to fix. Um, well, there's no call-ins today. It's just not going to work. Um, the holidays are a tough time of year for many people. It's very sad for a lot of people. It's happy for most. But I just want to remind people that if you know someone that had any losses, people that are lonely, look out for them. Call them. See how they're doing. Check up on them. It's a very important thing to do. I want to give a special thought. It's my own thought. Um, and it's for people that are alone. Reach out to someone. Don't be the type like I was in the last few years where you just kind of stay home and you say, "Oh, I don't want the holidays anyways," and you're upset about things. Really try to make an effort. I also want to say that my nephew, Charles Sasso, Chucky, I loved him very much. He didn't make it through this year. He passed away back in June. It was a very sad event for our family. And I just wanted to say that my thoughts will be with you not only this Christmas, but every Christmas. You're still with me. You're in my heart. I love you. And for my kids that were taken from me and lost to me, I love you guys. I hope that you're having a great Christmas to whatever degree. And my hopes and prayers are for everyone out there. And many people are happy, like I said, and that's really what the season's all about. It's about sharing, looking for the good, because we all have good in our lives. Look for the good things and look for those things and make them happen for yourself, because happiness doesn't come up and bite you in the butt and hold on. You have to go looking for it. So look for the good things in your life, because they are out there. Um, a new year brings hopes and dreams. I say keep dreaming and start living those dreams. Make those dreams real and make them happen. Later in the show, we're going to talk about changing the world and never try to get even. Today's show is adopting a forever family with Carlos Harasz helping a little boy. Um, when we were on last time, we had talked about Carlos's biological family, and then we talked about his foster care time frame that he was in. So tonight we have Carlos Harasz, a boy who's removed from his birth family, a boy who went through the foster care system, a boy who's adopted into his forever family, a young man who's making his own family at this point. Carlos, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, how are you tonight?
It's going. How about you?
Well, it's barely going, as you know. We had a lot of trouble with the sound. I don't really know what a flash player is, but apparently Computer One has a problem with the flash player. I hope that whatever the problem was cleared. I rebooted. I don't know if that takes care of it. Do you know anything about computers, Carlos?
If it's an Adobe Flash player, it just means you need an update on one of them. That's all.
Well,
A software update.
whatever that means, I'm going to try to figure that out a little bit later. Um, so we'll figure that out. Hey, are you guys getting ready for Christmas, you and Carrie?
We are. I'm currently at the fire, and she's currently making Muddy Buddy.
Muddy Buddies are very good, you
It's
know.
called.
Yep.
Yeah.
Carlos, let's get into what we were talking about so far. We talked about the loss of your birth family, what your foster care was like, and now we're at the time of adoption. This is a time when your adopted family, in this case it was me, with dad and with your adopted brother, um, your biological brothers came with you, but you were coming into a family that already had one child, two parents, two dads. It was a same-sex family. Um, you came from a pretty bad foster care experience, if I understand that right, and I'm pretty sure I do. I've talked to you about it many times, and I think that you really got that point across to people last week in our talk as well. So this week we're going to talk about what was it like that you had all these happy faces that were excited to see you and say, "Oh, we're getting kids. You know, kids are coming," because this is how adoptive parents are. They think, "Wow, the kids are coming." What was your feeling coming into your home that you were told was going to be your forever home?
As a kid,
Yes,
um,
as a child, when you were just turned, literally just turned 8 years old at that point. What was that like for you to see these people all excited and you're coming in after the horrid experiences that you had through foster care?
um, the instincts still kick in, so survivor mode still kicks in. So my first thing comes to mind is, what do I have to do to stay? Because you could be happy and smiling, but I mean that can fade away rather quickly.
Mm-hmm. You know,
So yeah,
you're talking about the rules early on, which surprised me. Um, what made you ask about the rules?
well, if you don't break any rules, it's hard to be shipped away.
Did you believe that this was your forever family? Did you believe this was it when you got picked up by us? Because we visited a few times. And it was pretty quick that we ended up going to the house and you got to see where the house was and what things were. Did it seem believable to you? Did it seem. What was it to you?
I did talk about it and brag about it to other children in the safe home we were in,
Mm hmm.
but as far as my own mental state of mind, no, I didn't think it was going to be forever.
Okay. So you talked about it because it was probably cool. It was something to talk about, but you didn't believe it in your heart.
Mm, yes.
And I might add, something that we didn't talk about, I don't believe we did. The last placement that you had where we found you guys was in what they call a safe house. And that's like an older, well, in this case, it was an old home. I'm not going to give the city or location or anything because I know that those are safe places, but they were protecting you
Mm,
from some very bad things and they were afraid for you guys. So you were in what they call a safe home where it was actually security and things like that because things got really bad where you were and with your situation. So they put you there. You're supposed to be there for 45 days. I'm pretty sure it was over that time, whatever it was. So you're coming into this house from this institutional type of home where you have caretakers that come and go, kind of as staff. You continued in the same school. What did it feel like to you in those first few days, if you even remember when you first came into the home?
Oh, I remember trying to be on my best behavior, but I wasn't at school.
Why don't you tell
So,
people? Let me tell them real quick. When I went to pick up Carlos and his younger brother, the teacher pulled me aside and said, and this was, I think, the second day I was picking them up, said, "I need to talk to you or someone that's in charge." And I said, "Well, that would be me. I'm the pre adoptive father." And she said, "Well, we had an incident in class today." And I said, "Oh, you can talk to me about it." And she first told me it was about the other one, your brother, that he got up out of his chair during the middle of class with his pencil, went over and hit somebody in the head, sharpened his pencil, and sat back at his desk like nothing happened. And he did this because he was mad about something that happened the day before. And I was shocked to hear this. And I said, "I'm sorry for that." And they said, "Well, that's not all of it." Carlos had a little bit of an incident today. Why don't you tell us what happened in class? Do you remember that day?
well, there's a couple of them. I've punched some kids in the face. I've flipped desks and thrown books at the teacher. So,
That particular day, what they told us was that, and she was cute the way she said it. She tilted her head, and her hair went off to the side, and she kind of smiled, saying, "Well, I just have to tell you that Carlos flipped his desk over and threw a book at me." And when I heard that, I really didn't know what to do in terms of a response because I'm not used to that. I didn't know what to do with it. I just kind of listened. But it was the start of some interesting trips to the school, to say the least. Um, so, Carlos, again, in those first few days, I know school was a problem. You said that at home you're trying to behave, but within that trying to behave, what were your feelings? What was it like to have this brother that you never had before, and all of a sudden you have this brother that's your adopted brother at that point, or to be adopted brother? What did that feel like? Because people were saying this is your brother, this is your father, this is your dad, this is your daddy, this is your house, this is where you live, this is your school. What did all that feel like?
What I remember the most was trying to establish dominance.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Like a pecking
I didn't
order.
care you're my same age. I'm still I run stuff. Like he's dad. I'm dad above all of you. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were brought up in a situation where survival was important. I think it was important to know who was in charge at times because sometimes there weren't kids in charge.
Hmm.
So, anything come to mind that you want to share about? Let's start with school. With what school was like. You said that you were misbehaved. Do you know why you were misbehaved?
Well, we have to. Your outlet has to be somewhere with all that rage and anger. So I couldn't do it at the house because that would get me into a new home.
Mm-hmm.
School, I mean, at least you can play the story of, hey, that kid did this, she said this, or did that. You can't really question it.
So you kind of knew what you were doing when you were picking fights with people and doing stuff like that. You pretty much knew how the outcome would be in terms of having to explain yourself.
Oh yeah, and every time you have to go to the new school, like you have to go pick the fight so that everyone knows, like I'm don't do not bother me, or I will hurt you.
Mm-hmm. And Carlos, I
I
appreciate
remember
your
doing that.
candor in this because it's important for other kids that are going through the foster care system, for parents that have adopted or have kids in foster, or have kids in their care as foster children. I think it's important for people to hear this. So that's your school life, and at home you said you tried to behave. So was that peaceful to you? Was that something comfortable?
The behaving at home,
Yeah,
or
because you said that you behaved at home. Did that come natural?
as I say, I think that that part came naturally because that's the feeling of longing to be wanted.
Mm-hmm. Did you actually feel wanted? And you can be honest because I know what it was like for you at the beginning. I'm not going to be offended. So be honest about things. How did it feel at the beginning? Did it really feel like you were wanted?
Verbally, yes. Um, but as far as taking it to heart and mentally processing it and accepting it, like I said, that didn't really happen until high school.
Mm-hmm. So it took you about 8 years,
Still
really.
about 10 years. Yeah.
About 8 years, I would say, before it really started to show. The behavior was good, and I think that you were doing well with it. Did you ever feel like you were just kind of role playing it?
No, because I think it's in my character. Some, for some, uh, my heart's huge and it's not really for me, if that makes sense. I always tend to do things for other people and neglect some of my own needs. I think that's just part of my personality.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel that your brotherhood with your brothers, that blood relation, did you feel um, that you had to honor that?
No, actually, I felt relieved that for the first time I didn't have to. That I didn't have to play Mr. Dad for the other three. That I didn't have to watch every step and have to give them pep talks to calm them down and make them stop being upset, or hey, you need to do this or we're going to be gone. Um, as I realized that this was the forever home, that responsibility was taken away from me in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't. I do not hold on to that brotherhood persona now.
Did you feel that they felt that there's like a blood? thing that was going on with them?
Oh yes, for sure.
And was that
I
an
remember for so one of my biological brothers harassing your biological son. And the closest thing, the thing I remember the most always is the blood. Blood always came up in that conversation.
the blood of the brotherhood?
Yeah, and they would use the numbers game, but I'm not gonna fight your if you not I'm not gonna fight your fights if you started that fight.
Now, what do you mean the numbers game?
Um, so one of my younger brothers used to, even in school, whether it was with our biological brother, was whether it was with his own bullies or friends, he used my name to bail him out of 90% of his fight.
hmm Um,
So,
he looked like you to some degree, and people got confused. If you were side by side, it was easy to tell the difference, but if you were apart, it was a little confusing to people. Did he ever use that in to his
oh,
advantage?
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did.
Well, I
Because
happen to
there'd be
remember
people that
one
walk up to
time.
me. Ooh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I happen to remember one time, I believe it was in high school, that he actually
Yeah, I
used.
was just gonna go. Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and well, I don't know if it's the same story, but in high school he got into some fight with some like 6'3" guy, and I'm in my at my locker. Some guys come up to me saying I need to get myself checked for what he's doing, and I'm like, wait, what are you talking? I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm Carlos. That's my brother. Is there something wrong? And he was blabbering his mouth. He's literally started fights and then used my name, so they came looking for me.
hmm
So
And Carlos, this blood, you heard them talking because they basically tried to hold on to their biological family within their adopted family. Would you say that's a fair statement?
I more than agree. I think that's what kind of caused the whole court scenario. I think that's what caused all the false allegations. I even, for the longest time, even said to you, I don't know if you remember that. I personally, I take this as a personal attack because I think they're upset at me for not following them, for not staying in the group, for not following the bloodline, for not sticking to the brother thing. I don't care if you are blood or brother. If it's not morally right, I'm not doing it.
Did you feel that they were jealous about you because you had good grades, you were doing well, you had a lot of friends, you were very liked by everyone? Did you find that there was jealousy, maybe?
Definitely the jealousy. And I can even quote one brother that even said that mom loved you more because you got all the good genes. And to me, I don't. I personally think that that brother is smarter, physically and mentally smarter than I am. It's just I am more determined than all of them put together. I don't need to be the smartest one in the room, but I will be the most hardworking and well listened, balanced one in that room.
From your observations, why do you think that it was so important to keep that blood still going of their biological family within their new family?
Honestly, I think it's a cultural thing. Like Boricua means it's a Spanish term that just for Puerto Ricans. It's like family. It means buddy. It means friends. It means like pride. It means confidence. Like I think that's part of the aspect of the Spanish thing. And family comes first above everything. But at the same time, we're not in a little Spanish slum on an island where we are in what I like to say to America in America. That's why I choose. Yes, I can speak Spanish. I choose to speak English unless someone needs help in Spanish. Um, I, I'm here to succeed. I am. I don't. I'm not worried about the small stuff like they are. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Um, and Carlos, when it comes to when it comes to them trying to hold on to it, did you feel that it was something that was just kind of a light thing that they wanted to hold on to, or did you feel it was like really life or death that they felt that it had to be held on to?
I think it was life or death. I think they were afraid of if they accepted the help and took it, what's going to happen? Meanwhile, my thought process was I had a second chance here. What can I do to make the most of it?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't no longer have to worry about food or playing Mr. Dad to them. So my job was to focus and take care of myself.
Why did you feel, this is your feeling, why do you feel that they couldn't accept it? Because they saw the same thing as you, they saw the opportunity and they rejected. I saw it as they were growing up. There's a lot of rejection of that. Why do you feel that was?
I think because maybe for them, um, out of the four, actually out of all of the adoptees, the 11 or children total, I would say by far, physically and mentally, I was the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's what it came down to. I was strong enough to understand that I am. It does not make me weak to focus on school or have my friends. It does not make me a bad brother because, hey, sorry, you started that fight. Unless somebody just comes out of nowhere, starts beating you up, you don't need me. If
Mm-hmm.
you ran your mouth, I'm sorry, I would beat your butt too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think it's because I physically and mentally have always been the strongest one, toughest one. And I'm willing to accept taking a step back, but I won't accept failure. Just because I took a step back does not mean I have failed. Just means I need to take a different route to succeed even farther.
Now, during that time when you first came, let's just say the first year or two, in that period, did you think about your biological family? Did you think about your mom?
Um, as far as thinking about them, only time I thought about my biological father was through bad dreams. And as far as my mother, I think I went through phases of I miss her. Why doesn't she love me? And then phases of I don't need a damn thing from that woman.
What kind of things
Um,
helped you get through that during those times where because obviously there was some anger, there was some missing her, a mixed bag of things, but what helped you during those times?
um, I was able to make great relationship with close friends. Um, I have I can let's say three great friends that I still am in contact to from Connecticut, and I have been friends for over 10 years with. Um, so I had my own sense of brotherhood and family with that small clique, which
Mm-hmm.
just made me stronger as a person. I didn't have to worry about being as tough because I was tough, and if I wasn't, I could at any moment either one would show up. Well, they didn't have to show up. They basically lived with us. I don't know if you remember my two good friends that
I
basically
do.
lived with us for 12 to 14 years.
They're over just
So
about every weekend, if not both of them, at least
every
one of them.
holiday too.
I used to wonder if they actually really had a family somewhere, but they just loved being over, and they were
Oh,
very
their parents
welcome
would do the
too.
same thing. When I'd go to their house, they'd be like, "So your parents are really okay?" I was like, 12, 14, 16. What's the difference?
Hmm.
So
And Carlos, when it came to holidays, Christmas, that's a hard one for a lot of people. Do you remember what Christmas was like as a little boy?
yeah, Christmas is depressing for the most part. I think this is the first year that I have had the easiest time with Christmas. Um, and I don't know if that's because the baby's coming and we have the house and we have the Christmas and we have to do 20 million things to get ready for this baby that I have just totally forgotten and have not had any time to even dwell or think about what this time period means. But before that, yeah, it was a depressing time. It's the mom's birthday. It's around the time where we got taken away. It's the 8 years of not knowing what a birthday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, not knowing what any of those holidays even exist or means. Um, I don't know. I feel like the Christmas holiday, everyone's so happy and jolly, but it's hard to keep that attitude when you're dwelling on some of the other things. and I haven't had the time to dwell on things this year, which I think has helped me in the most tremendous way.
So staying busy is good. Having friends is good.
Yeah, because even if you have a bad day, I could call either one of them. They come over. Um, Maybe we bought a six pack and just played a video game, or we went literally just for a drive, or go to the mall just to make a lap, get chicken teriyaki, and we were good for the rest of the day.
The six pack, are you talking about now? You're not talking about when you're 8 years old.
No, no, 8 years old, you don't do beer, you do wine.
Okay. I
No, no, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I
Yeah,
know
that
you're
wasn't till
kidding.
like
Be careful with the
like high
joking. You're
schoolish.
you're live here.
Yeah, it wasn't till high school till the six pack came in.
Now, what was
So,
Santa Claus to you?
oh, I Santa Santa Claus doesn't. Yeah, he does not exist. I don't. The holidays to me is just for the most part crap. I mean, I didn't have the real first one experiences till I was 8 or 9 years old for the holidays. So trying to tell me that some guy comes down the chimney when I'm 9 years old or 8 years old, I'm just looking at you like, "Ooh, what was in your coffee?" Or you can, if you can tell that bunny that's hopping down that trail to turn around because I'll beat him up if he enters his house. Like that's how I felt about holidays
So a lot of negativity around
in
it.
the beginning.
So
Yeah.
what was it like when you
Now
had
Easter's my favorite.
So what was it like on Christmas when you had a whole bunch of gifts given to you by these people that are saying we're your forever family, especially that first year? What was that like
I
for
was gonna
you?
say I remember the first year was hard to appreciate anything
Mhm.
because we got so much, but at the same time, it's like, oh, cool, 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 cool. All right, now what? Are you taking these away? Or is it really mine? Do I have to do anything for these? Like, are they just mine because I was good, or do I have to do something to earn these?
Mm. It's a lot for a little kid, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is. All in a matter of months to do all that. Yeah, it is definitely.
What advice do you have for an 8-year-old kid that's out there and is presented with this family full of smiles and happiness and inside they're angry and bitter and confused? What would be your advice to that kid?
Give them a chance.
Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, not at all. But if one person's willing to give you a chance, you need to give them that chance, and that's the only way it will work.
Mhm.
Because they can do anything in their power or will. If you're not going to accept it, it doesn't matter what they do. But if you're willing to say, "Hey, I'm willing to take a chance. Let's work on this. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out." Like I said, one of the first shows, the moment you decide that I don't want to dwell on this, I'm tired, I want to get rid of it, I'm trying to move forward, is once you make that decision, it is amazing how easy it is. That doesn't mean everything you do is easy. Yeah, every day you got to work, every day you got to feed yourself. If there's dirty clothes, you got to do it. If there's dishes, you got to clean them. That doesn't mean it's not easy. It just means there is not that there is not that feeling to having to go run and cry or chug a bottle or go destroy property or anything like that, because whether it didn't have to be perfect that day, you got through it. You have to look at what you did positive, and then the next day you can keep building off of that. But
Mhm.
yeah, give them a chance. Give them a chance,
It's
a
giving
fair
yourself
chance.
and it's giving yourself a chance for happiness to trust
Hmm.
somebody. Was
And
it
you're
e-
never too old to grow, change, and accept new philosophies.
was it easy for you to trust?
No, no, and it's still not. Like I said, it doesn't mean it's completely easy now. It's just I don't waste my time and bother myself thinking about, like, if we use Carrie for example. I've got a beautiful fiance. I could dwell on it and say, instead of her going to work, oh, she's probably going out with so and so. She's doing this. She's doing that. No, she's going to work. She's making money, and she's going to come back home right to me. End of story. Stop thinking. Shut your mouth, Carlos.
Mhm.
There's an example there. Like, it's a mind game. It's you are your own worst enemy, and it's your own heart and mind that is creating a fight or a fire in you. So if that's there, are you going to use that fire to destroy your home, or are you going to use it to provide heat and food?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've decided that I need to use it the other way. You say you're here, you're here. I provided a ring to make sure that you're here. You're here. All right. Next job is, what do we need to do to provide for this child? And what do I need to do to make sure that you can take this time off? We still have the house paid, and yet we can still have fun and enjoy this. I'm not thinking, oh, well, once you have this baby, you're going to leave. No, I don't. If you do, you do. I don't care. My job is to take care of what I can right now.
Live in the moment.
Exactly. Stop coming up with all the worst case scenarios if it because they're never going to happen. And if they do, okay, deal with it. Doesn't mean life's over.
Mm-hmm.
Even millionaires, they lose their money, they go bankrupt, they still have struggles, they need to eat and a roof over their head. Life's not easy for them either.
Carlos, do you remember when you were little, I used to say, don't cry for the people that are gone from your life, be grateful for the ones that are there now? Did that make
Yes.
sense to you?
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, it does. Right. It makes sense today.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't have any ill will toward the brothers, but I also don't mince them a damn ounce. I've got I've got a baby on the way. I've got some pretty decent roommates. I've got a good job. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm doing the right things and just keep moving forward and slowly take another step up.
Carlos, I
So
just want to let listeners know right now I have a picture of you and Carrie standing in front of your tree. This is tonight. You took these pictures and sent them to me right before the show started. So these are actually brand new pictures. It's you in a shirt that says hole in one, I think. Um,
no, it says ho ho ho, hole in one,
oh, okay. Ho, ho,
and
ho,
it's Santa
hole in
Claus
one.
playing golf.
Well, Santa does play golf.
uh,
That's the day after Christmas. How's
hmm
Carrie doing? We have a picture here of her with her red sweater, and is that a penguin on the front with a Christmas hat?
Yes, it is.
How is she doing now? Because she's just about ready to probably have that baby any day now. How is she feeling?
We are 2 weeks and 5 days, um, and she's feeling very pregnant.
Oh, I believe that.
So that's the answer I get a lot. So I can only imagine that means my body hurts everywhere, and I'm upset with you, but I still love you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what that means.
Well, I know that it's a tough Christmas for you guys. Things are very tight and everything. I'm not going to ask you what you got her as a Christmas present because she'll probably hear it. Um, since it's a talk show, she'll probably listen to it and hear it. But it doesn't matter whether it's big or small. What's the important thing for
Oh, we
Christmas
have
for
each
you
other this
guys?
Christmas.
hmm
We have
I've
each other.
I've heard that from you all year long. I think that it's amazing for you. I think that you found strength in your friendship where your other three brothers, two of them couldn't make or keep a friend to save their lives. The other one made
I
friends,
agree
but
that there's more bad than good people in this world,
hmm
but you have to, when you find something good, whether it's a person, whether it's a book or a meal you like, utilize it. Use it to as much as you can if that's what makes you happy, because it only makes everything else that a little easier. What makes everything here? Yeah, we are having a kid. We are both young. We don't make enough to afford a full home by ourselves, so we do have great friends that live with us. Um, but I have not just I don't just have an intimate person. I literally have a best friend. If I'm going to be having to sleep in a car for a night or two, I am so glad that she's going to be the one I'm cracking jokes to at 3:30 at night, wondering why we're so cold.
hmm
So.
So, Carlos, I want to summarize a little bit of what you said, and I'm going to move on to something else. Still the interview, but a different part of it, a different part of the question. But before we get to that, I have two quotes that I'm sorry. I want to first um, just review something that you said. Having friends was very important to you to help you get established and making those friends. And I noticed that that was a stark difference because your other two of the brothers couldn't make a friend to save their lives. Then the other one had friends that came and went almost like water. I kind of know why, but that's a whole other thing, I guess. But you had stability in your friendships. You were looking for stability in your family. You were doing well in school, and those things, those were giving you success as a young child to help you get cemented into your new beginning. And like you said, you gave it a chance. And I think that that's so, so, so important. So I want to go into two quotes that we talked about earlier. Well, we didn't talk about. I said what's coming up. The first quote is, "If you want to change the world, go home and love your family." What do you think of that?
If you get the chance to go home, oh yeah. Um,
If you want to
Actually,
change the
going back
world,
to the friends thing.
hmm
hmm
it's basically if you
Going back
want
to
to
the
change
friends
the
thing.
world, go and love your family.
Yeah. So like I said, going back to the friends thing. Um, Learning how to love my friends and help when I learned to, because that's where I help. That's where I started to learn to communicate. To where I started to learn that I have to listen, adapt. Um, that's honestly what helped me start with my family. You, I don't know if you recall, there was times where people in the house felt that I loved my friends more than I loved my family, and to me, I was learning from my friends so that I could learn how to be with my family. I would say that I'm stronger with my family now, but I'd still relate that back to the relationship I was able to have some with my friends that taught me, because the way I viewed it was, you guys adopted me. It was kind of your job to be my parent. Versus with my friends, they made the personal choice every single day that they wanted to be around me, that they wanted to conversate and help me. So when I learned and started to accept that there are people that don't have to be any relation to you, love you and want to help you, love them back. That makes them family. It doesn't have to be blood, which is what my brothers hold on to. My close family, my brothers, who I call brothers, are not by blood.
hmm Do you
Um,
feel though that some of that was out of fear for them, that they were afraid to let go of that blood, maybe?
yeah, but after you've lost everything else, what what is there left to be afraid of?
hmm
Like, I personally, there is only one thing I fear, and that's failure itself. You can come in breaking into my house, and I have no problem getting up and escorting you out of my house. You can try to steal my wallet, I'm going to break your hand. I am not intimidated by things like that in any shape or form.
hmm
Um, it's more intimidating that the fact that Carrie, yeah, she has my ring, but she doesn't. She, if she wanted to walk away, she could. That to me is what way more terrifying, because that means that I could have failed the relationship. If that makes sense.
It does. Carlos, let me give you the next quote that I want to talk about, then I want to get back to your interview. I just like to give you a mental break so we're not going to, um, stress you out too much. So the next quote is, "When someone betrays me or lies to me, I never get even. I just change their role in my life." So when someone
Oh yeah.
betrays me or lies to me, I never try to get even. I just change their role in my life. Have you had to change the roles of um, people's roles in your life? For
Oh,
instance,
that's a something. That's an everyday thing if you think about it. For people, I've constantly have to do that. The very first month that I moved out to Ohio, I found a job real quick. I met somebody, and on the very first date, I was robbed of $300 and never saw the person again. But I worked with that person, so instead of going in pointing fingers, calling cops, hollering and screaming. Good morning, good night. That was the relationship now. I see you, good morning, I'm leaving, good night. That's all there is to it. Um, you don't need to call me for your child. You don't need to call me for a ride home. You don't need to. No, nope. Good morning, good night. I'll see you again tomorrow. That's it. My brothers. I have no problem keeping a relationship. I still speak to your biological son as much as I can. Whether it is just whether it's for the holidays, whether it's just because hey, it's been 3 weeks since I've heard from you. I would like to hear from you, so I'll call. Um, yeah, I think when I was younger, when people hurt me, it was traumatizing and nearly devastating to the point where you can't recover. As I've got older, I realized that hey, I don't necessarily have to cut you off and hate you. It just means that the next time you need help and you need hey, say you need money help, I can't offer you money. But if you are hungry and haven't eaten, I can buy you a McChicken and drop you off a fry. But I'm not going to no longer give you money when you broke that trust and you went and bought shoes for yourself when you said you were buying diapers for your children. Because then I feel you're using and manipulating me. So I have to change what role you play. I'm not going to be a nasty person and never talk to you again and block your number and change my house address. It's just going to be simply, if I'm going to help you, it's going to be something I can physically give to you and watch you take and not worry about what you're doing behind my back, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does. Carlos, let me ask you a question. You're adopted. There's a biological child, which became your adopted brother. And first part of my question is going to be not did you feel it was equal? Was it equal as an adult looking back? Was it equal treatment between you and him? And we're just going to use the two of you for an example. Forget all the rest of them. Because I know that that was a major focus for a lot of your brothers of it's not equal, it's not fair, and you love him, you don't love us. Was it equal, do you feel? And you can be honest here. You were helping people, so honesty is a very important
Hmm.
thing.
See, I want to say no, it wasn't equal, but I don't feel that that's fair to say because it wasn't in a way, say, if I got mac and cheese for dinner, he did not receive a steak. He had mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Where I feel might have been some discrepancies and differences was for punishments. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that punishments, how you treat people, how you talk to a person changes based on each individual person. You
Mm-hmm.
you can have a method or a system that works, but in reality, to work in this real world, you have to adjust that method or system and personalize it for each individual. So as
Absolutely.
I've got older and mature, I've realized that hey, he needed the butt whooping, he did not. Um, he responses to taking this away, but you could take anything away and she's just going to keep smiling, listening to her headphones, listen to that music, and not be phased about what you've said or done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, even at work, I've even had discussions with managers, and I've had to explain to them because they mention why they don't do certain things when I've asked is because they need to utilize me for all that I'm worth. And I explain to them, hey, that's great. I'm glad to hear that you are proud and like what you see. If you want it to keep happening, you need to pay me. It is not my responsibility that some of the others don't have the same commitment to the restaurant that I do. I don't feel like I need to be punished by that. If you think I'm that great, reward me, please, and I'll do anything you ask me. It's not about favoritism. It's honestly each person brings something different to the plate. Each person can only handle so much trauma or discipline. So, like I said, as a kid, I would say no, it wasn't fair. As I've grown up and now I'm having my own family, I no. Each person's gonna be different. Whether I have three more children, Sophia would be treated different than Maya, or than Anthony, or than Zach, and that's because she needs this, he doesn't.
You just named four kids?
Well, I'm not having four. I was just throwing things out there for later down the road because When you have children, you can't treat them, talk to them, discipline them all the same. If you have a crybaby, you don't want to yell at them because they're going to just lose their mind.
Now, here's the
So,
second part of this question. That's the first part. It's a three-part question. Here's the second part of the question. Did you feel that there is a difference between the biological and the adoption child in terms of love, treatment, and all that stuff? What did you feel about that? And this now we're talking about feelings. We're not talking about actualities. We're talking about feelings.
hmm, I overall I still got to say it's pretty fair. There was moments where I got upset, but in hindsight, you think about it, and it's just like, well, that's how I know I was a kid because I got upset over something like that. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I'm sure there was times I felt that way, but once you think about once you think about it, no, no, I can't say that you did. No,
Okay.
even now I can't. No, nothing changed because even the relationship that I have with that brother today is strong. There is no resentment, ill will. There's no jealousy. There's no. I'm always excited when I get his phone call and what he has to say, and he's always excited to what I have to say. So, no, I would think everything was quite fair.
Mm-hmm. And then the third part of it is there are other relatives. There were grandparents that showed up. And all of you shared in that. But then we gave you guys godmothers that we thought would be a good thing. There was a godfather for your adopted brother, so it wasn't your godfather. So, with that kind of stuff, when it came to people, did you feel that that was fair? Did you feel like there was more treatment for one way or the other? How did you feel about that?
Well, in that case, then we were more spoiled. My biological brothers, not only did we have two godmothers, we got to see them far more often and actually take some vacations and go out to eat, spend nights far more times than he did than the other biological one. So, but that worked in my favor, so I'm not complaining.
Mm-hmm. And Carlos, here's probably one of the hardest questions I'm going to ask you about. And I hate to ask this, but people are going to wonder. And again, honesty and just openness is going to be huge in this one. You did go see your biological mother when you were older, when high school ended, I believe. What was that like?
hmm
And tell us about what that meeting was like.
It was disappointing. Um, I honestly went for the purpose of, like I mentioned earlier, I felt when we spoke about the whole biological thing and keeping the bloodline, to them that was very important. So I used that mentality of theirs and figured, hey, maybe if I go to our mom, explain to her what's going on, maybe she can speak to them and they'll calm down. What it turned out to be is that that same 15-year-old woman that gave birth to me was still a child when I found her again when I was 19. Um, it opened up my eyes that I don't need to go search for this woman. She doesn't. She provided my life, and that's all she needed to do, and it was more than enough because I don't need anything, absolutely anything else from her. She made me pay for the meal. She didn't ask anything about the the siblings. She asked nothing about me. It was simply she needed some quick money, and that was it. So, if anything, it solidified that I went to the right place. There was no mistake, and I'm glad that I had put the effort to move forward. Um, I wish it kind of worked the way I thought it would, but it didn't. And that's okay because now I have closure with the whole biological mother issue. So,
So it was healthy for you to see her.
yep, yeah,
How do you
I
think
gave
it?
you more than one chance. So if you can't take an opportunity when I'm grown and you don't really need to provide for me, I just want, hey, you want to call me? Feel free and call me and we can talk. No, all you wanted to know was how much cash I had on me. So as far as I'm concerned, you don't need to know anything about me.
Hmm. What would that have been like for you if we said, "Hey, Carlos, you're 14, and we think that you're ready to meet your biological mother just to get it out of your system. Would that have been helpful?
No, that would be too young and too confusing.
So 18, when you're done with high school, you think it's actually a healthy thing. Now, you were prepared for it as well through therapy and through talking about it, what could it be like, and things like that. So you were prepared for it. So it was a helpful, healthy thing for you to do. So you'd probably recommend other people should probably do that, or no?
I personally think it's not worth it for most people, honestly. I know that statistics say that you're better off most of the time in the your biological home than you are in your adoptive or foster care home. But to me, there is a reason that things happen. There's a reason you are not there. Very good reasons. Stick to them, listen to them, believe them. There's no reason to dwell on it and you spend all this time wasting your life to go back to a shitty situation that people told you was shitty. They don't just, I'd like to hope and think that they don't just take kids away for no reason. Even with our sad case, it happened because people ran their mouths. It didn't happen because the judge one day decided to wake up and was bored and needed something to do.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I would recommend it, to be honest. Yeah, it might have helped me personally, but when you have an opportunity to move forward and keep going forward, I don't find a reason why to take that step back because who knows how far it's going to take you back. You could undo 10 years worth of work, and that's what's terrifying.
Mm-hmm. And
And plus,
Carlos,
hey, if yep,
no, go ahead.
I personally think if that family member really wanted to keep tabs, know where you are and how you're doing, there are ways to do that. Even when there's open adoptions that will allow you to keep connection with that child. So you have made a choice that you either want something or absolutely nothing to do with that child, which means that you need to make that choice that you want something or absolutely nothing to do with that biological parent. You can appreciate what they offered. Like, I appreciate she gave me life. But as far as anything else, you didn't provide anything for me. I did it myself. So thank you, but no thank you. Merry Christmas, but there's the door.
Mm-hmm. But you feel that she earned that because you gave her an opportunity. As a young adult, you gave her
Exactly.
the opportunity to reconnect with you to some degree. You weren't looking to be taken care of, but it hurt that she's asking you for money. Um,
I just wanted to hear, hey, that you've actually thought about us and missed us. None
mhm.
of those came out. So as far as I'm concerned, okay, we're done here.
Now,
Because I don't have
Carlos,
time to dwell on someone that doesn't need or want me.
mhm. Now, Carlos, you had a very interesting life because you lost your biological family, got thrown into the foster world, then you got an adoptive family, and then that adoptive family, a lot of it was taken away because your last three biological brothers, through I don't even know what to call it. Um, through you call it running their mouth, complaining, the poor me syndrome, where they were going around complaining to people to get attention, and it became bigger and bigger and bigger as time went on. Their stories got bigger until the point that they went too far with it and created an issue where the whole family was torn apart. You lost touch with those three. You lost touch with your younger brothers. What did that feel like that as a young adult you lost the family that you were given? And you lost them for reasons that didn't exist. It was lies of allegations, that were lies and stuff. How did that feel to you to lose them?
It is the most traumatizing and confusing time of my life because what adoption meant to me from the first time was I was finally done with foster care. Was finally done moving. Like I said, it was time to focus on only Carlos. So for it to have happened again after being finalized, like it's not supposed to change. The judge hit his hammer, he signed the papers. That's supposed to be crumpled up like a piece of paper and put in the trash and never seen again. So Yeah, it definitely took me back. So let's say, like I said, I moved forward with the help of the attachment therapy, with making personal decisions to shut up, buckle up, and be a man. But that's, like I said, it probably set me back at least 3 years to have it happen twice after being adopted, because it's supposed to mean it's completely done and over with. I'm not supposed to worry about stupid things like that. Of, am I going to a new home? No, this is my house. This is my family. Whether they move addresses doesn't change anything.
Hmm.
But the state took that completely all away. So, and that's probably my mentality of why I'm going to hold my own child dear and close.
Was it frustrating to you when um, the investigation was going on as to what happened, that they wouldn't listen to you, that the police listened to you? Well, you tell your story of how they took your brothers
I
out of.
can't say it was frustrating, but was it surprising? No.
Why
No.
wasn't it
I was already
surprising?
in the system. I know exactly how it works. Your my job is to stand there, smile, and say the good little cute boy things while you guys make your paycheck. That is how I see it. That is what my problem with the system is. Yes, the intention was good, but what it has turned into is that placing a child equals a paycheck. The more children you place equals the more money you make. Doesn't mean they have to. Doesn't mean it's a healthy home for them. Doesn't mean it's a forever home for them. It just simply means they were placed, you got paid. And I think that's what it's become. And I think that's what's terrifying. It has become a business. It's kind of like, I don't want to compare it to sex trafficking, but people are adopting women and selling them. That's basically what you're doing with these children is you are stripping them and pawning them off other place so that you can make a check.
You know, that's an interesting thing you bring up, Carlos, because we've been pretty easy on the show so far with the kind of things that we're talking about. We're kind of laying a basis of who you are, who I am, what happened to us to some degree. People can buy the book Dismantled, which is on our website under books and DVDs. And Dismantled, the family on William Street East, tells the story of our family. Um, but we are going to have guests that are going to outline for us how the money trail works. Because a lot of people say what you just said, but don't understand, and they think, oh, that can't really be. It really is. It's actually a fact that there's incentives for DCF to place kids or strip away the parents' rights within certain time frames. So we're going to have guests that are going to talk about that. And we're really going to start looking at how the court system works. And it's not always going to be about our family, it's just in general. We're going to share other stories of other people. There's a case in California that we're going to hear about. And they're calling it, the nickname for it is the right to lie, where DCF was caught in lies and it was so bad, their lies, and so obvious
That's
that
that's
the.
all DCF is.
Yes, and we're going to
Like I
expose
said,
some of
when I
that.
was picked up and brought to a new place for the very first time, they didn't tell us we were going to anywhere. They didn't tell us what was happening. We got Burger King, which was what I call a bribe, and then we all went to different homes, not to see each other probably for about 3 weeks when we saw each other at a biological visit.
Hmm. Well, Carlos, that's what George's Family Matters is all about. I'm glad that you're going to be a big part of it as time goes on. I want people to call in. We couldn't do it tonight, but I want people to call in, talk to you about what they have going on, and for you to participate in these conversations. It's going to be a very interesting year, 2017. We don't have anything on our schedule right now for what's coming up for next week because there is no next week. We won't be on the air. We're going to be fixing some computer issues. And if you've been following our show, you know, and especially with tonight, you know that we've had some issues. So we're going to get some of those bugs taken care of. And take a week off. When we come back in January, we have some fantastic interviews coming. Those will be posted by New Year's Day. Before that, they'll be posted, just probably New Year's Day even. They'll be posted online so you can see what those shows are. I ask people, please, very, very important to me, don't drink and drive over the holidays. Make it safe for everyone. Make it safe and happy for your family. Don't put other people's lives at risk, not even your own. You don't need to get a DUI. There's lots of free taxi services. Literally, I know you're going to flip out when I tell you this. call the police and say, listen, I had a lot to drink. Who can I call for a ride? There's so many organizations giving rides, and the police are aware of it. They'll be able to tell you who can come pick you up. And that way, everybody has a happy holiday. There's no accidents that way. And plan ahead. Bring some money for a taxi and know that you're going to take a taxi. That's even a more responsible way. So if you know that you're going to go out drinking, you're probably going to end up drinking too much. Let's be honest about it. Carlos, have you ever gone out for drinks and well, probably, maybe have too much?
I I am one of those rare birds. I will not allow myself to have more than 2 beers if I'm driving, and if I am, that's where my beautiful fiance comes in. I won't drive after 2 drinks, no matter what the legal limit says I'm allowed to have in my body.
Perfect. You have the plan. I want to
Yeah.
wish everyone a happy New Year's, a Merry Christmas. We're going to start up again in January. Happy, safe holidays to all. Carlos, Harasz, thank you for being on the show. Maybe next time you come back, you'll be not a father to be, but you'll be a father, and we'll have to find out all of your secrets to success as being a father.
Alrighty.
Okay, happy holidays, everyone. Whatever you're celebrating, we have all kinds of holidays happening over the weekend and next weekend. So enjoy and just enjoy your holidays and be safe. Thank you.